You're likely going to get feedback if you have two connected.
Yes, I did. But I just wanted to see if I could get it to work, and it looks like it's, in case I don't have his laptop, I can use the other one, and it looks like it's going to work. So that's
Okay.
perfect. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so I guess we'll get started here. It's just after 2 o'clock, so we'll call the meeting to order. This is the Township of Centre Wellington Committee of Adjustments meeting for March 25th, 2021. I'd like to disclose if anybody has any pecuniary interest or conflicts of interest at this time. Please disclose them. Okay, I'm seeing none. We'll move on to the confirmation of the meeting minutes from the last meeting we held. Can I get somebody to accept and move that motion, please?
I can move it.
Okay, moved by Aaron. And can I get somebody to second that? Thank you, Janice. Okay, with a show of hands, we'll approve that motion. Okay, so that motion has been carried. And on today's agenda, we have two applications. The first application is file number A007/2021. The property is located at 195 Forfar Street West in Fergus. And request for relief is being requested to permit a reduced minimum side yard setback of 2.5 meters or 8.4 feet, as opposed to the required exterior side yard setback of 4.5 meters or 14.8 feet. And the effect of the variance is to permit the construction of an attached garage. Chantal, can you confirm that signage has been posted at the property?
Yes, it has been posted in accordance with the Planning Act.
Okay, thank you. At this time, I'd like to ask Mr. Sikkes to speak on behalf of this application. You could just give us a brief overview of your intent and your rationale for this request, please.
I just want to build basically it's going to be a two-car garage, but one garage door. Just the garage that's on the house currently is going to fall, like cave in. It has a flat roof and it's all rotten. So I just wanted to build it a little bigger. So when I do pull a car in, I can actually walk around the car while it's in the garage.
Okay, thank you. At this time, I'd like to ask if any committee members have questions for the applicant.
I do have a question. Are you planning to extend the driveway as well?
No, the driveway is going to stay the same. The garage
Okay.
door will line up with the current driveway. It's just going to have a side man door.
Oh, I get you now. Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions from the committee members for the applicant? Yes, Janice?
So is it, will it actually be a double car garage or just a kind of a 1.5 sort of thing?
Yeah, more like a 1.5. It's not going to have two doors, just one large door at the front.
Okay. And will it be higher than the existing garage?
Yes, it will be.
Yes.
Be like a 1.5 stories maybe for storage above.
Oh, okay. Okay, good. Okay,
I
thank you.
did submit drawings as well.
Are there any other questions for the applicant?
Question for the applicant. Any concerns from residents or your neighbors on Woodside Street?
Has there any been expressed to me?
Yeah, yeah. Or were you able to engage with them at all?
Nothing expressed to me, but as far as I knew, you guys sent out a letter to them, so they would have said anything to you, right?
And we haven't, staff haven't received any concerns?
Neither have I.
No, we did not receive any correspondence. I did have a phone call with somebody that was asking for clarification on a point, but no concerns were noted.
Okay, well, we'll move on. Do any members of the committee have questions for staff at this time? Okay, I'm seeing none. And I don't believe we have any other parties present who would be in support or opposition. And as you noticed, Chantal, we didn't have any letters or emails in support or opposition as well.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. We'll move to have a roundtable discussion regarding the merits of this application with the committee members. So, Fernando, would you like to start?
I just want to say that I don't have any concerns or extra questions in regards to this application. It seems fairly it's fair. I don't think there's going to be a big impact around the neighborhood. So I think I'm going to move this forward.
Okay, thank you, Fernando. Aaron?
No concerns. Looks like there's been some efforts to design the side with the roof line and some additional windows to improve the streetscape. So no concerns for me.
Okay, thank you. Janice?
Yeah, I'm quite in support of the application. I don't see where there doesn't seem to be any negative impact to the neighbors. The sight lines for the corner seem to still be fine. There's no issue with the sight lines either. It's a very practical addition. And definitely value added to the property. It appears to be pretty minor and in nature, and is in general keeping with the zoning bylaw and official plan.
Thank you, Janice. Kathy?
I don't have any concerns with the application.
Okay, and I feel the same way. I think from a streetscape perspective and a safety perspective, this is considered minor, so I'm also in support of this. Chantal, would you be able to read the decision in support of the application, please?
Sure, that in the matter of application for minor variance for relief from the Township of Center Wellington zoning bylaw 2009-045 as amended, Section 7.1.2, Table 7B, Item G, permission be granted to permit a reduced minimum exterior side yard setback of 2.5 meters, 8.4 feet, in lieu of the required minimum exterior side yard setback of 4.5 meters, 14.8 feet. The effect of the variance is to permit the construction of an attached garage on lands described as 195 Forfar Street West, Plan 104, Part Lot 33, Part Lot 34, Registered Plan 61R, 5518, Part 5, Fergus, Township of Center Wellington.
Okay, thank you. Could I have somebody to move that motion, please? Yes, Fernando. Could I have somebody to second that?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Janice, and all in favor with a show of hands. Okay, thank you, Mr. Sikkes. Your request has been approved, and there's a 20-day appeal period. And after that time, you can proceed with your building permits. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Will I be receiving an email then confirming all this, or? Yeah, okay,
I'll send
Sounds good.
something out either today or tomorrow, Greg, and then you'll get a notice when the appeal's over as well.
okay, sounds great. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to the second application for this meeting. This is file number A008/2021. Property is located at 470 Garafraxa Street East in Fergus. And request for relief is being requested to permit a reduced minimum front yard setback of 6.5 meters or 21.3 feet, as opposed to the required minimum front yard setback of 7.5 meters, 24.6 feet for a severed parcel, and further to permit a reduced minimum rear yard setback of 3.2 meters or 10.5 feet, as opposed to the required minimum rear yard setback of 7.5 meters or 24.6 feet. The effect of the variance is to facilitate the creation of a new lot and permit the construction of a new dwelling, all of which are required to satisfy conditions of approval of the County of Wellington Land Division Committee, and that is under application B75/20. Chantal, could you confirm that signage has been posted at the property?
Yes, the sign was posted in accordance with the Planning Act. Thanks.
Thank you. I see we have a couple of gentlemen here. Mr. Buseman, are you acting on behalf of the property owners?
Yes, I am. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Great. Would you be able to provide us with a brief overview of this request?
Absolutely. Any chance that the diagram could be shared on the screen, or is that something that I share?
It's a good question.
Carrie? I'm not
Well,
sure.
I wasn't given anything ahead of time, so I can't share, but I have given you release the security, Jeff. So if you can share your screen, we can give that a try.
I will do that, and give me one, I'll be about 15 seconds to find it. You see a picture of my family, then we got my screen. So we'll change it to the picture of this property here. So I'm going to walk you through it a little bit. There's a key map here showing the location of the property. This has been an interesting block where there has been a number of lots that extend right from Garafraxa Street to Hill Street. And over time, almost every single one of these lots are being severed sort of down the middle. This is the next one on the list being done. What's interesting about this one is that this lot is wider than the typical lots in the area. So it's a fair bit wider. It's 37 meters wide. I'm going to say the typical ones are about 20 meters wide. The one challenge with this property a little bit is the fact that the garage and the retained lot is pushed back a fair bit. So one of the requests to make a decent lot out of it is to have a variance of 6.5 meters for the front. That way it'd be in line somewhat with the neighboring properties. And we're even proposing that, you know, the garage should be 7.5 and have a bit of jogs, but just to get a little more space for this lot. We're recommending still 7.5 meters for the backyard here. This is the variance request of 3.2 right here. We actually did an interesting quick little study to figure out, you know, this is still a large amenity area, 7.6 meters, which meets the zoning of 7.5. And we figured out that this area was 152 square meters. Interesting. This amenity area outside the garage, 143. This one, 163 square meters. This one, 171. This one, 188. So they're all, you know, similar. So this house will be similar. And not only that, this house is this large amenity area. It actually has this large amenity, big side yard as well. So asking for 3.2 is, I would say, is quite reasonable. And so the other thing to note is that the whole property is, here's our chart. The minimum area for a property is 557 square meters. The separate parcel we're having is 800 and the retained is 1100. That's telling me because of the width, we got actually quite large properties. So this is really a good infill project. And at the end of the day, these variances make sense. I'd like to make one small additional comment. The application was submitted for 3.2 meters, and that's recognized in the report a couple of times. I'm going to probably a typo. It talks about 3.5 on page 3, and maybe one other spot. Another pot, it says 3.2. So I just want to be clear for anyone's who had read the report or if there's any confusion, the request is 3.2, and the report uses both numbers. So I'd be glad to answer any questions. And shall I stop sharing the screen?
Yeah, I think you could stop sharing the screen there, and we'll move to the committee to ask any questions to Mr. Buseman. I just have a quick general question, more of just a context question regarding this stretch of houses. You sort of noted that this is one of the last ones to be severed, like the rest have. Do you have an idea of when the other properties would have been severed?
Actually, I was looking one closely, the one next door to the east, that was done in 1989. So it's a little bit of history. I was kind of looking at a lot of the history of the parcels today because of dealing with the boundary. It seems like the first builds were in the in the 60s, the mid 60s. And then it seems like, I'm going to say the 80s, maybe 90s. Yeah, I remember doing one probably 15 years ago down much further east. So it's happened over time. It's not like bang, 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 but it's over time. I'm going to say most of them are in the 80s and 90s.
Okay, thanks. Are there any other questions from the committee members for Mr. Buseman? Yes, Kathy?
I have a question in regards to the survey that was brought up by one of the neighbors suggesting that the fence is not in the right place. Is it possible to address that concern?
I'd be happy to. I met with the neighbors for an hour and a half this morning. It was a very pleasant visit. And by the end of the meeting, they understood why the boundary was in its position. Yes, the garage that they have encroaches over the property line, like 0.2 of a meter. So like this much, like very small amount. It took an hour and a half to kind of talk about how surveys work and why the boundary's there. By the end of the meeting, I'd say they were happy with the answer. Well, they didn't like the answer, but they were happy and satisfied with the answer that is indeed the property. And yeah, the garage and the fence encroach over a little bit.
Yes, Aaron?
Jeff, I think you noted it, or it was noted in the report, but there appears to be some high value street trees there, which I think really help beautify the streetscape along Hill. The position of the house, are you purposely trying to save those street trees? And just the commitment from maybe the applicant that's part of the plan moving forward?
I don't know the details of the future house, and we haven't received any house plans yet. But yeah, my intention was, and I think Eric would agree, I did see Eric initially on this call. The intention was to save some of those big trees on the left. I mean, the lot's very wide. I don't think there's any reason to make a house to go the whole width. It'd be really big. So I think there's good opportunity here to save a number of those trees. Details haven't been figured out. I'm sure at the site plan stage, the township will go over that with a fine tooth comb as they are, and we'll figure out the details of those trees at that stage.
Thanks.
Are there any other questions from the committee, Mr. Buseman? Okay, we'll move on. Are there any questions from the committee for staff?
No.
Okay, seeing none. Okay, we'll move on to the roundtable discussion regarding the application with the committee members. Kathy, would you like to start this one?
I believe that it's because it's one of the last lots to be severed, that it's not going to impact the Hill Street frontages at all. It will blend in mostly with the houses that are already there, I believe. I still have a concern about the survey just to know what they're going to do about that regarding the new house. Like, will it change, or is it just going to remain the same with a addendum to say that the garage is bigger than is not in the right spot? I know that can cause some issues with going forward with properties. I want to know how they're going to solve that one. But other than that, I don't have a concern with the house going there. I think it's a good infill site, and I think that it's what we're looking for infill in town.
Thanks, Kathy. Yeah, maybe that's a question for town staff or county staff. What happens in that case when there is an existing structure that is not in the right legal position during a severance? Does that just become accepted by the new property owner?
I see that Mr. Buseman has his hand up, so I'm sure he's dealt with many of these in the past. I would have to look at the plan again because I don't recall seeing that noted on the plan. So I was just trying to actually pull it up here while you were asking the question. But maybe Mr. Buseman can comment as well. Typically, they would be addressed through some type of an easement that is noted. So that would be some kind of legal agreement or legal recognition of that. And I don't know if that's already the case here, if Mr. Buseman might have additional information as to that or how that would be addressed.
If it's all right with you, Mr. Chair, just respond.
Yep, go ahead. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to share the screen again just to show what we're talking about so that everybody knows. So right here, this garage is over the line by 0.26 of a meter and 0.18 of a meter. That's, a little bit more than 6 inches here. The fence is over a little bit. So it does not affect the new property, which is the bottom one. It affects the existing property. And yeah, I'm an Ontario land surveyor first. I deal with encroachments. We see them all the time. Happens a ton. Basically, life goes on with the encroachments. Sometimes people do something about it. Often they don't. The reality was when this parcel was surveyed in 1989, and that's what I reviewed with the people, the owners of that property, this garage was shown over the line in 1989. So as I said to them, you realize that this has been the situation for 32 years. Maybe you didn't see it when you got the survey plan done 32 years ago, but it's been like that. Nobody's making a fuss. And it's kind of like, I can't tell you how many encroachments that I've seen that they just continue to happen and nobody does anything about it. And probably rather than making this a big fuss, rather than getting encroachment agreements, rather than getting lawyers involved, let's keep it simple and just let it be. And that's the reality. If this garage was ever replaced, it'd be moved over a bit. The garage is quite old, I'll tell you, but those are just some thoughts. So there's no definite answer on how to deal with it other than that has existed for at least 30 years. So I'll stop sharing my screen. I hope that helps.
Yeah, that's great. And I think that, yes, Ms. Mariana?
Sorry, and then I was just going to add that it would be different, as Mr. Buseman said, if they were working on this garage or if it was coming down and being replaced. So whenever that has to happen, when the life of this garage is at its end, then and it needs to be replaced, it would have to be replaced to be fully within the property line, because otherwise a building permit wouldn't be able to be issued. I don't think staff has concerns about leaving it the way it is. The new house won't be impacted at all by that encroachment.
I'll also add that I did receive an email from the owner saying the issue was resolved. It was just, basically that's exactly what it said. So the committee should be satisfied that those people that raised the issue are satisfied with the conversation they had with Jeff this morning.
Thank you, Chantal. Janice, would you like to contribute to the discussion here?
Yeah, I think it's very much in keeping with the area, and it is a good infilling lot. And yes, I have to agree that it certainly is wider than some of the others along there. So I have absolutely no problem with supporting it. Also, I would just want to indicate too that I certainly would support the conditions, the two conditions that staff have suggested in the report. But yeah, no, I'm fully in support. It's the requests are minor in nature, and it's fully in keeping with the area. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Janice. And Aaron?
I agree with all the comments made. Nothing further to add. Thanks.
Fernando?
No, I don't have any particular concerns with this application, and everything is being solved, I guess, within ever, which was my main concern. So no, I don't have any more issues or question about this.
Good, thank you. Yeah, I'm also in support of this as well. More so for the fact that it's in line with the existing neighborhood, and it's a desirable infill project for Fergus. So I'm in support of this as well. And yes, following what Janice had mentioned about the conditions, I'd also like to see those as well, with the correction that it'd be 3.2 meters as opposed to 3.5, as stated in the agenda that was circulated. And Chantal, the only letter that we received was the one from 474 Garafraxa, correct?
Correct. That was the only letter that we received, and it was resolved. So that's good.
Okay, thank you. Chantal, could you read the decision in support with the two conditions?
Yes, thank you. That in the matter of application for minor variance for relief from the Township of Center Wellington zoning bylaw 2009-045 as amended, section 7.1.2, table 7C, items D and G, permission be granted to permit a reduced minimum front yard setback of 6.5 meters, 21.3 feet, in lieu of the required minimum front yard setback of 7.5 meters, 24.6 feet. That's for the severed parcel. And further, permission be granted to permit a reduced minimum rear yard setback of 3.2 meters, 10.5 feet, in lieu of the required minimum rear yard setback of 7.5 meters, 24.6 feet for the retained parcel. The effect of the variance is to facilitate the creation of a new lot and permit the construction of a new dwelling, all of which are required to satisfy conditions of approval of the County of Wellington Land Division Committee application B75/20 on lands described as 470 Garafraxa Street East, Plan 55, part lot, or sorry, just part of 142, part lot 141 East, part lot 143 south side of Garafraxa Street, Fergus, Township of Center Wellington, subject to the following conditions. 1, that the reduced rear yard setback of 3.2 meters shall only apply to the retained parcel at 470 Garafraxa Street East, and only for the attached garage portion of the dwelling. The main portion of the dwelling must comply with the minimum 7.5 meter setback. And number 2, that the reduced front yard setback of 6.5 meters shall only apply to the new dwelling on the proposed severed parcel fronting onto Hill Street East.
Okay, thank you, Chantel. Could I get somebody to move that motion?
I can move, Brad.
Moved by Janice. Could I get somebody to second that motion?
I can
Second
say-
it.
Fernando seconded the motion. And by show of hands, all in favor? So the request has been approved, Mr. Buseman. As you're aware, there's a 20-day appeal period. We wish you luck in the project.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we'll move along now to discuss any other business.
I don't have any other business. Just letting you know, there will be a meeting on April 15th. We have 4 applications and they'll be circulated later today.
Okay, thank you. Is there anything else to add by anyone else? Okay, we will adjourn the meeting for today. Thank you very much. And could I get somebody to move that motion?
I can move it.
Moved by Aaron and somebody to second. Kathy?
Yes.
Thank you. And a show of hands to approve the motion. All in favor? All right, everyone, enjoy the sunny afternoon before the rain comes.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks, you too.
Bye,
care.
thank you.
Bye.
Bye.